Thank you for watching Honesty Unleashed with HUWHQ in the evening, talking all things entertainment, politics, religion, and of course, all things sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into the show. If you haven't heard already, today is International Women's Day, and I thought to myself, how am I going to best represent them or to pay tribute to them in somehow? So by the time you see this, it'll be the day after, but if you haven't heard already, women are literally dominating in just about everything, but specifically in the world of sports, such as golf, pool, tennis, swimming, weightlifting, even rugby, but of course, basketball, which is the main topic that we're going to be discussing today. I'm not just talking Little League or high school, we're talking sports as high as Division I and even some pro sports. Now, you might not realize it, but I am a feminist and I have always wanted to pay tribute to you and really everything that you have really been accomplishing so far. But the one thing I want to point out is that you don't really complain too much. You show up for the fans no matter how tough practice or your opponent is or really how, your day is going. But you do your job with a smile. So here's to you, your success, and all the records you will continue to smash with a little video I decided to put together. Now, I didn't make this, but just a montage that I found of a bunch of videos and thought, hey, here's something to pay tribute to what women continue to do, but I want you to really watch closely to these gifted athletes who have put in so much hard work as women.
I feel honored to be a part of history. I have a lot of incredible trans friends who are athletes, and so we're all inspired. This woman's competing.
I try to focus on my swimming, what I need to do to get ready for my races, and just try to block out everything else.
I can't tell you how free I feel now that I've started identifying as a woman. Now that I can compete as female, I'm ready to smash the other girls.
If you're not clapping, you should be clapping because the extreme feminist in me says, hey, it's finally a chance to celebrate all women. Now, I get it. If you are not clapping, I think you're probably scratching your head and maybe saying, what exactly are we doing here? And one would have to ask yourself, what exactly are the qualifications to compete in a women's sport? Well, they need to undergo hormone replacement therapy, which will help reduce testosterone for 1 to 2 years. So whether you want to believe it or not, there's a reason why we have segregated sports. It shouldn't be that controversial to admit or to talk about, but unfortunately in the day and age that we live in, it's always going to be that way. Now, let's get into the recent topic that has several people discussing why the Collegiate Charter School of Lowell in Massachusetts forfeited its game in February against Kip Academy at halftime. In the world of what we call what is a woman, it's been a very controversial phrase, something that Matt Walsh, I guess, gave life to not too long ago, and that people, for some odd reason, said they couldn't decide what a woman was. At least they didn't want to admit it. But there's always going to be controversy around that statement. And I guess a collegiate charter school in Massachusetts forfeited their basketball game because, according to their coach, Kevin Orton, his roster was getting a little depleted 4 days before a playoff game. Now, I'm about to show you a 7-second clip that I think is going to address the elephant in the room. Now, I'll say it plain and simple, but I don't want to give it away until you watch the video. But with that being said, take a look at this person who is head and shoulders above just about every girl. Something's a little off, and just because you have a ponytail doesn't necessarily mean that you are equal to all these other people. But watch the next video and I'll let you decide for yourself. So now that the elephant in the room has been addressed, this person is clearly head and shoulders above just about all the girls. And it's hard not to say what exactly is qualifying this person to be a girl, because all I'm seeing is that they have a ponytail. There's not much femininity about them. And the reason that I say that is because according to a Fox report, this person is allegedly 6 foot, and out of all of it, she has facial hair. So you would think if you're trying to blend in and you want to be a girl, that maybe you would at least shave your beard beforehand. I don't know. That's just how I would go about it. But what do I know? Anyhow, the school obviously didn't want to basically say, hey, we are going to stop playing because we've had 3 people hurt. And in order for us to go forward, we don't think that this is safe. No, they thought and wanted to say basically because I guess they had a tournament coming up and that they didn't think that they should continue because they needed to rest their players. But the school did put out a press release on February 8th. The Collegiate Charter School of Lowell put out the following statement in support of in support of their coach, Kevin Orton's decision to forfeit the game, which reads, the coach decided to end a game at halftime after watching a 3rd player injured in the game with KIPP Academy. The bench was already depleting going into the game with a 12-player roster having 4 players unable to play. When the coach saw 3 more girls go down in the first half, leaving him with 5 players, he made the call to end the game early. Once the 3rd was injured, the remaining 5 expressed concerns about them continuing to play. The players feared getting injured and not being able to compete in the playoffs. In an effort to maintain safety for his team, he decided to forfeit. The charter school supports this decision and reiterates its values of both inclusivity and safety for all students. We take the standards set by the MIAA and our Board of Trustees seriously and strive to uphold them on and off the court. We also follow the guidance from the MIAA and state laws regarding equity and access for all student athletes. Section 43.3.1 of the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association Handbook states that a student shall not be excluded from participation on a gender-specific sports team that is consistent with the student's bona fide gender identity. Section 43.3.2 says a student can't be included on a roster solely for the purpose of gaining an unfair advantage. And, of course, KIPP Academy did not wish to make a clear statement as to why other teams forfeited the game, but according to the Daily Item News, KIPP Academy Athletic Director Anthony Grimaldi declined to say whether the school believes the male player who identifies as a female was the reason for collegiate sports. Now, I understand with the whole press release why they were kind of more neutral, but I wish there would have been more meat and potatoes to say, hey, it's clearly because there's a guy now a woman on the court who identifies, it's got me all messed up. Now, a male who was once a male identifies as a woman on the court is clearly the reason why certain things are happening. But I get it that the day and age that we live in, if they were to come out on one side or the other, especially for the side of going against a transgender, you would have had you're a bigot, you're transphobia, and all these other things out there. And it's just sad that people can't really speak their mind anymore and to say, like, look, these are women who have, kind of worked for something to say, okay, we want to play and we want to have fun and we want to go out there and give it a good game, but I just feel like there's an unfair advantage. But you've heard enough from me. I want to hear from some callers. So after the break, we're going to hear from a couple people that called into the show to give their opinion. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hello. You're the first caller of the day. Who is it that we have calling in? What's your name and where are you from?
They call me Sparky, and I'm from Michigan.
All right, Sparky, nice to meet you. The controversy that's going to never stop going on in this world that we live in is transgenders who play in women's sports. And the specific topic we're talking about is a woman that identifies as, or once a man now identifies as a woman, was playing in a girls' basketball game. She hurt another player, and the coach decided, hey, we need to forfeit. But they didn't say that specifically. But the main question is here, should women be able to continue playing in women's sports?
Oh, heck no. Heck no, not at all.
In what? Go ahead.
Oh, my reasoning is, once a man, you've had testosterone in your system, your muscle density, is a lot stronger. Your lung capacity and everything else is much greater. And, you just outpower a woman. That's all there is to it. There's no comparisons. That's why they have women's sports and they have men's sports.
in a situation like this, I don't know, are you a father?
Yes, I am.
With that being said, as a father, did you have a daughter that played sports?
Yes. She played a couple different sports.
So if you're a father in a situation like this, what would you have liked to have seen done?
Oh, I would have raised hell. I would have done everything in my power to make it to where it's not happening. But people have been really pretty complacent, and they just let all these flaming trans just run over them. They don't say nothing. People need to speak out about it.
Do you think the reason they're not speaking out about it is because of the very small percentage is going to, like you say, raise hell and have an issue with it as well? And, some people may be afraid to speak out because whether it's their job or I don't really know. Like, do you think the reason that they're not speaking out about it is because they, afraid of being reprimanded themselves, even though it's something legitimate that needs to be brought up?
Well, if they're like in a high position in some company or even with a school system or something like that, I'm sure they'd get reprimanded because, this equity, diversity, inclusion, that has to include everybody, it's just like, I identify as a horse, so let me run in the Kentucky Derby. It doesn't work that way. Once you're a man, you're a man. Once you're a woman, you're a woman. And, and also a lot of these people in high school and whatnot that are trans, not that it would make a difference, but they haven't completed the process. So in my opinion, they're just overly sexualized transvestites.
So in a situation like that, what do you believe qualifies for someone to be able to play, if at all, if they're going to switch teams and play with the women?
Is a trans man or a man being transitioned to a woman?
Correct.
Is that what your question is? Well, I don't think there's any way they can play on the women's team. I think they need to have another classification for trans people. If they want to be trans, let's have a trans group.
I'll agree with you on that. I think that sports in general should be segregated, and they are segregated for a reason, because considering we talked about the biological looking at each other, is that men usually have a bigger bones and different muscles, etc. But with that being said, we are running out of time. I do appreciate you calling in and being on Honesty Unleashed with Hanky Q. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Who do we have calling today, and where are you from?
The DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. How are you?
Good. Sorry about that. I think we didn't have you turned up all the way, but could you say that again?
Yeah, this is Chris Kemp calling from the DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. What's going on?
Not much, Chris. Good to have you in on the show today. With the recent topic that we've been discussing and transgenders in the world of girls' sports, what is your opinion on that? And what do you have to say? Are you for it or against it?
I'm actually against it, because the thing about it is this. In a person's mind, a man can feel a certain way, and if he feels that he identifies with a woman, that's one thing. And if he goes through the operations to have certain body parts removed or implanted and everything, the man can feel all he wants as if he's a woman, but he's still in the body of a man, bone structure, muscle wise, and he is still the dominant force on any playing field, whether it be on the court, on the field hockey, whatever, volleyball, whatever. You have a person who identifies or thinks a certain way in their mind, but their body is going to say something else, and that gives them the advantage over natural-born women. And that's why I disagree with this whole thing. And, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if you disagree with it, but let's be honest. You can have a man try and become a woman or transition to a woman and everything else, and he can feel all he wants that he is a woman, but he's still in the body of a man. He has bigger muscles, bigger bone structure, still has the muscle perception of a man, strength, speed, and everything else. And, I think it's an unfair advantage to let a transgender woman play in women's sports. That's just my natural take on it.
I'll agree with you on that because, yeah, no matter what and how we want to look at things, unfortunately, men will always have a biological advantage over women. But with that being said, in the video that has been surfacing, what would you do in a situation to where you are the coach or a parent for that matter, and this is going on? Are you even allowing them to play in the first place?
I'm going to catch flack because I would not allow, if I'm the coach of a women's basketball team and I get a transgender woman wanting to play on my team and I knew that they were transgender, I'm like, no, this is women's basketball. This is women's volleyball. This is for natural born women, not for transgender women. And you know what? That's just a harsh fact of reality. They can see things differently. They can put on those multicolored glasses, or what they call burgundy colored glasses, and think that they fit in. But no, and that goes back to even after the game is over, they want to shower with other women. No, it doesn't equate to them being a woman. It doesn't. I'm sorry, but a female, when you're born at birth and you have a penis, you're a male. When you're born at birth and you have a vagina, you are female. You can have all the surgery that you want, but the fact of the matter is you still who are you are. No matter what your brain tells you, your body is always going to tell you something differently.
Well, hey, Chris, I appreciate that. The only thing I did want to say on that, the discussion part about, showering with the women, obviously there's something there, but I think for this specifically, I just want to keep it to, hey, should women be able to play with, should men be able to play with women in women's sports? And you did cover, I appreciate you for your opinion on that. We are limiting the time as much as possible down to 2 minutes. So I appreciate you calling in on the Honesty Unleashed podcast with HUWHQ. And thank you very much and have a great day, man.
No problem. Thank you. You do the same.
All right. That's Chris from DC. Thank you. Bye-bye. So he's not wrong there. It's sad that in the day that we live in and continue to live in, that unfortunately people on the side of the LGBTQ community don't want to give women the proper rights to say, hey, this is something that we're not comfortable with. Why is there not men who are standing up for us and saying, look, there is clearly a disadvantage here that we can't compete with, and we're never going to be able to compete with. But unfortunately, the day and age that we live in, it's going to keep continuing. But people got to start at least speaking out, and that's why I wanted to keep continuing to have a show like this that gives people like this who are going to give their opinions, whether we agree with it or not, at least trying to hear from both sides. But with that being said, we're going to take a couple more callers, and we will see what some people say, hopefully on the other side, whether they are for it. Hello and welcome into the show. Who do we have calling and where are you from?
Hey, this is Corbin Wood from Elm Hall, Michigan.
All right, Corbin, with the discussion on the topic of transgenders in sports and what recently happened with this basketball team forfeiting their game, what is your opinion on that of should that transgender have been playing with these women?
I just think that the title of that entire article speaks for itself, that it says trans player injures 3 female players. So you're already separating them right there. It's trans and female. I think that female sports should be female only. That if you went through male puberty, like regardless what age you are, if you went through male puberty, you should be playing male sports. Or even if you're a female and you're transitioning to male, you're taking testosterone, you're at an advantage right there. You need to be playing male sports. Like, just going through male puberty in general, like, you already got such an advantage over the female players. Like, they don't need to be playing with the females.
So in this certain situation, if you're the coach, what is your reaction or what are you doing before you guys even start the game and you see this person walk out on the floor?
Well, there's no way that I would just not play the game. But I mean, you obviously have to do it safely, and when there's that many people getting hurt, then yeah, you do need to do something. But the intention should be to go out and at least play the game and try to just see what happens. But yeah, you have to do it safely.
All right. Thank you for your take. I appreciate that and for calling into the show. Have a good night.
Yes, it's no problem. You too.
Well, there you have it from one caller. He had a pretty good conservative, I guess, side to it. But I think when it comes to you being a biological man and then transitioning over, obviously there has to be some stipulations and rules put into place to make sure that everything is going to be safe for the women. We just heard from 3 callers. I want to say thank you guys for calling in because it's not an easy thing to give your opinion, especially the day and age we live in. Now, for some of you who may say, like, man, I would have liked to hear from some women or, you know, someone on the other side. I did reach out to several women, but they didn't want to give their opinions. I totally understand as to why not. But in the future, I would love for you to call in, write in, whether you're for it, against it, in the middle, on whatever subject I decide to talk about. I want to hear from you guys. I want to be not just my opinion, but I want to hear your guys' opinions. And I may not always agree with it, but it's a chance to hopefully learn and educate each other and see what good can come out of it. But here's what I will say for the vast majority of people that are afraid to say things or comment publicly. This is not a chance in this show to beat down on the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, they, them, her, she, it, new choice, dyadic, z, zer, zers, and so on. And no, I didn't just make those last few up. Everybody should have the right to compete, but there needs to be fairness, considering there is and always will be a difference in girls' and boys' athletic ability, and that's just a fact. So, you've heard enough from me. Now, let's move on. Meanwhile, users on X, formerly known as Twitter, are responding to Charles Barkley's threats of violence he made due to remarks that former President Donald Trump made at the Blacks Conservative Federation's Honor Gala just last month.
We've all seen the mugshot. And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts.
For those of you who don't know, Charles Barkley has a show with Gayle King called King Charles on CNN, where they go over multiple topics, and basically he just kind of gives his opinion. Whether you like him or not, he's unapologetic. He kind of says what he wants, but he's real and authentic. And I think that's why I gravitate towards who he is as a person. But anyhow, when he was asked what he thought of this, he gave his response, which I don't know if he was trying to be kind of comedic in his Charles Barkley way, or if he was really serious. I think it was half and half, but listen to the next few sentences that he speaks, and we'll go from there.
I'm just going to say this. If I see a black person walking around with Trump mugshot, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Charles.
No, Gail.
Charles.
Gail.
You really can't say that because, A, you don't mean that.
Now, to me, it's kind of comical, in my opinion, because to punch somebody in the face for just wearing a shirt of maybe a political opponent that you may not agree with and maybe not ever vote for, but it's like, was he serious? Personally, I don't think so, considering what would really happen if he was to punch another human being in the face. Obviously, you're looking at jail time. You're looking at someone who's, hey, here's a guy who's very rich. That's a big payday for them. But that's besides the point. He didn't back down. And he, I guess, appears to be serious about that. I personally don't believe it. But here's the next clip.
I mean that sincerely. I'm going to just tell you something.
And then you will be arrested for assault. And then what?
I'm going to bail myself out and go celebrate. If I
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him. Okay, but go ahead.
Seriously.
Continue.
First of all, if I was at that
conference, yeah.
I'd have got up and walked out. That was an insult to all black people.
Of course, after he said that statement, some black conservatives, well, they weren't too happy with it, or they at least want to show their frustration by tweeting at Charles Barkley. One person says, at Zeke Arkham, anyone seen Charles Barkley? I heard he was looking for me. I grew up in the you hit me, I'm going to hit you back era. He's a pretty swole dude and has Donald Trump's mug shirt on. Someone says, good for Charles Barkley. OMG, I'm just rolling on the floor. This white guy, Terry Johnson, says, wish I was black and knew where he was. That would be a beautiful lawsuit and then settlement. Like I had said earlier, someone would be very ecstatic to be getting a great payday. Seems like Charles isn't holding back his punches, both literally and figuratively. One person says, at Darlene, it's amazing to see all the white people cheering on a man who wants to suppress the black vote. Wow, just wow. Ah, yes, the old you don't think the way I do, so I'll beat you until you do treatment. Defenders of what again? Yeah, that's not hate speech. Oh, the hypocrisy on parade. Anyhow, I get what these people are trying to say, but I don't think that you should be that stressed out about something like that. Doesn't personally bother me, but I get it. I'm not going to tell you how to think or how you feel, but I think we don't have to really take Charles Barkley for his word. Personally, I don't think he's going to punch someone. I just feel like he's in the moment. It felt right to say. And I guess if he does, hey, someone's looking at a great payday, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Whether you love him or hate him, that's Charles Barkley. It's part of life. That's who he is. But don't take it personal, people. It's all right. In other news, and to leave the show on a positive note, we have a win for the women, and I don't mean that in the sarcastic way, considering my story from earlier. The MLB put out a video, and if you are a woman who loves baseball, I think, in my personal opinion, you're going to like this. It's a teaser of what's to come for the new MLB game on a bunch of different gaming platforms. So, take a look for yourself.
When it comes to big league dreams, no two are alike.
Now, for those of you who are opposing this, I wish and hope you ask yourself this. Is it really that big of a deal? Because the reason I'm bringing this to light of what has been some of the pushback on this is obviously on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, a lot of people have been, I don't want this. This is ridiculous. Why are we doing this? Women are not even in baseball. Why give them, I guess, a spot? But I think it is something that's kind of like really good and it's kind of exciting. Maybe not for me, maybe not for most men, but there may be a girl out there who loves baseball and finally is like, oh, look, there's something like me out there. But I want to be clear on this. It's not a game where they are saying, look, when you play this game, it's going to be females and men together on MLB teams. They're giving you the option to create a player that could be a woman, just as if you were going to take a man and you were into franchise mode to create him and, you get your own number. You can make a name with it. You can have him 6 foot. Now they're allowing a woman to be able to, play baseball and to have it be a game. So whether this is going to be something that's very popular, I don't really know. I guess we'll find out. But I think it's a way for the MLB to say, all right, hey, girls, we don't do enough for you. Here's a chance to play with the big boys and to have your own option in a game. So I think it's fun. It's kind of cool. I don't think it'll take off like they probably hope and anticipate. But if you're a woman out there or a little girl who has said, hey, I've been waiting for something like this for a very long time, well, now we got you covered. As to when that is going to be coming out is anticipated to be released on March 19th, which is a day before the start of the Seoul series in South Korea, between the Dodgers and Padres. That is also 9 days before opening day when all the other 28 teams begin their 2024 season. The game will also be released on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. So with that being said, I appreciate you for watching the show. We have more to come in the upcoming weeks on some other maybe controversial topics, but just in general to have a rational conversation, whether it be in politics, religion, entertainment, and of course, mainly involved around all things sports. Until then, thanks you for being with me tonight. I'm HUWHQ. Peace out, America.
Thank you for watching a Yes Sirski production. And don't forget to like and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes Sirski!